I'm not
then,
saying
then
that
there's then there's no reason to have a conversation. But I would be happy to place that phone call.
Well, I think
and
the phone call
explain.
needs to be placed before we make it, before a motion goes on the table to pay them or not to pay them. I think a conversation should be had.
Well, no, just so you understand, this process requires me to say, and you and everybody else to say whether they're comfortable in authorizing the bill. I can't do that.
Oh,
I don't need a
I'm not
conversation for
even
me to get my
asking you,
comfort.
I'm not asking you to do that, Mike. What I'm saying is, shouldn't, before we put a motion on the table
To not pay.
to not pay or to pay, whatever the motion is, shouldn't a conversation be had with Mr. Dorff?
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, I would feel more
That would
comfortable
be
with
fine.
that.
That would be fine. So in other words, just keep it pulled
Yeah,
and call him and tell him that it was pulled and that we
Yeah.
haven't taken action and to have a conversation with him. I can do that.
You
If you
could
want to do it that way,
also,
that's fine.
you could also adopt a motion to postpone consideration of the bills until the next regular
We
scheduled meeting.
I could do that.
that's what.
Joe, can you ask him to separate?
But the only problem is, I don't know if he, and again, this is, I'm now speaking for him, if hypothetically he wants to engage in settlement negotiations, say. I don't know whether, how you want to handle that in terms of if you want to authorize me to settle it for a lesser amount, or you want me just to bring it back to the township committee for the next meeting.
I think if he would settle for a lesser amount, I would say negotiate. I mean, because you would be more familiar with charges and to know how legal billing occurs and so forth, and
So, I mean, I don't know if you want to make a motion to do that. We could do that if you want to do that, and then I have a conversation with him.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we don't get,
I understand.
jacked up with
I-
something.
I-
before we see what happens.
It's a legitimate concern, I understand.
Why don't you make that as two separate motions? The first to postpone further consideration of the payment of those three bills until the next regular scheduled meeting, followed by a motion to authorize you to contact Mr. Dorff.
I got you. So the first motion would be to postpone the consideration of the three bills until the next regularly scheduled meeting. Can I have a motion?
make that motion.
Roll call?
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion.
I just want to add one thing here. Can you, in your legal, your two legal expertise, is it normal and customary for another attorney to charge for handover or turnover of counts? I thought that was an unspoken bond between brothers. I don't, you say, they just say, hey, you know what, I'm handing you.
He didn't charge for the handover, he charged for categorizing and doing a lot of work
Reviewed
too.
3 years of files, began identifying.
I guess
the transfer
conceptually, the
invoice.
problem I have is when you charge a client $200,000 to handle a case,
Charging us
I
$3,000 to
expect-
transfer the files.
I expect the files to be organized. So to charge the taxpayer $3,000 to organize a file where you've collected $200,000, to me, I have a fundamental problem with, in and of itself.
I just want to point out right now, your discussion is on the motion to postpone the payment of bills to the next month. So the conversation needs to relate to the motion.
Okay.
Okay. So is there I'm sorry, the motion was made to pull it and carry to the next meeting. Is there a second?
Dan second.
Dan, second. Any other comment? Roll call, please.
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani. Abstain. Valari.
Yes.
Torriello.
Yes. Now a second motion to authorize the mayor to contact Mr. Dorff about these three invoices to discuss a settlement of invoices.
I'll make that motion.
Anybody second that?
Yes.
Any comment? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani. Abstain. Valari.
Yes.
Torriello.
Yes. Okay, that now brings us to item 9, resolution, support of the recreation trails and grant program. I'm looking for the resolution item. I can't find it in the book. I know I read it before.
It's in tab 2.
Tab 2, resolutions. Look at that. It's amazing when you read. Okay. Is this by title only? Am I reading? So this is a resolution in support, resolution 2012-32, a resolution in support of the 2012 Recreational Trails Grant Program. I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani. Yes. Valari.
Yes.
Torriello.
Yes. Resolution 2012-33, municipal tax lien redemption, for, looks like $26,323.56.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Valari,
Yes.
Cordero.
Yes. Resolution 2012-34, municipal tax lien redemption of $1,775.22.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Comment? Roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani, yes, Valari,
Yes.
Cordero.
Yes. Okay, item 10. This is a second reading of ordinance 2012-3, an ordinance amending ordinance 1998-11. I think by reading by title only, it does no good. So if you'll...
I put a little extra.
What's that? I know. So if you'll, I'm looking to council, if you'll allow me to paraphrase and summarize, I'll be happy to do it.
That is fine.
If I can do that. In essence, there was an ordinance on the book which we are looking to amend to the extent that it would authorize this township committee to accept for the sale of a topographical mapping data for the township, that we could, in essence, set a lump sum fee which would be different than what is in the current, on the current books.
Right, on the books, and what remains on the books is that if a person's requesting topographical mapping data, they're charged $250 for the first acre and $25 for each additional acre. The amendment to the ordinance is to also permit a reduced lump sum fee for the topographical data if somebody's requesting the data for the entire township.
And with that, you have a motion to open up the second reading for public comment.
I'll make the motion.
Any members of the public who wish to be heard?
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
I don't know if I proceed to
You're doing
Um,
good.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on this? Seeing no hands, is there a motion to close?
Make the motion.
Second.
Close.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion.
Well, I have that second.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance number 2012-03. Tom, second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani. Yes. Valari.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes.
Mike, do you need a copy of this ordinance to move forward?
No, it's all here. We're
I'm
good.
sure.
Don't you worry. It's just absolutely
When
not.
can we expect a check, Mike?
Yeah, well, we did contact the individual who contacted us, which prompted the adoption of said ordinance. He is still going forward with, with his internal company discussions, and he said he was going to get back to us. So right now, we have no confirmation that anything is gonna happen.
Okay.
We'll
We'll be pleasantly surprised.
we're in position to
Okay.
move forward should he call back.
Okay, good. This is now a first reading of ordinance 2012-04, a reading of title only.
Before you read by title, I'd like to make a correction to the proposed ordinance that is in front of you.
Oh, to April.
This ordinance is amending an existing ordinance that requires recycling reports be provided to the municipal recycling coordinator. I'd like the date to stay April 1st rather than March 1st.
Okay. With that amendment, first reading, you read it already, but I'll read it. Do I have to read it again?
No, I just want to make sure that the ordinance that you have in front of you is referring to April 1st.
Yep.
And
Understood.
that is the ordinance that you're having a first reading on.
Okay. So, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, I'm sorry.
Motion to introduce.
Switch it.
Second.
2012-04.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Any comment? Roll call?
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani. Yes. Valari.
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. Now, item 11. At the last meeting, we were involved in, I guess, some heated discussion and some motions that were made, and then other motions were made on top of motions, and after the meeting, to me, it highlighted, I think, the need for us to have a discussion just on basic parliamentary procedure. And I asked Brent to take a look at our ordinances, and they really, I don't think, kind of laid out with necessary specificity in terms of, basic parliamentary procedure as generally understood and embodied in Robert's rules. So I think with that, I think you all received Brent's memo on that, and I'll turn it over to Brent to have the discussion.
Very good. Well, your ordinance that was adopted in 2000 provides the Township Committee has the ability to set the rules of procedure by way of resolution. It appears that the Township Committee has been, following Robert's Rules of Order since then. But I'd like to go through Robert's Rules of Order is a 700-page book. I condensed down the essential motions and set forth the priority of those motions in this 3-page memo.
And thank you for that. 3 pages is better than 700.
Because these are the most common types of motions. I think what's important, everybody obviously understands the concept of the main motion. It's one motion at a time. When a motion is pending, however, there are 7 types of subsidiary motions that can take priority over the main motion. And I've listed the order of priority, and I'll just go through them. One is, the first one that actually has the highest priority in terms of subsidiary motions is the motion to table, which is commonly misused. The motion to table should be only to table the pending motion temporarily. And for example, that might come up if you have a speaker that is coming in, you're in the middle of a discussion of a motion, you want to lay the motion on the table to allow the speaker to present, leave, and then you can remove the motion from the table. The second highest priority is a motion called where you move the previous question. That, in a sense, is a motion that is made to end all further debate on the motion and all further subsidiary motions, with the exception of making a motion to table. It is not a debatable motion, but it requires two-thirds vote. So if you have 5 members present, it would require 4 votes. If you have 4 members present, it would require 3 votes. The next highest, going just down the list, number 3 is a motion to limit debate. If during the discussion of the main motion, you want to limit the debate of all the Township Committee members to a certain period of time, you can make that motion. That also is not a debatable motion, but it also requires a 2/3 vote. There's a motion to postpone to a certain date. That is a motion that is debatable, and it just requires a majority. A motion to refer the main motion to a committee or subcommittee. Also, that's debatable, and a majority is required. The most common is a motion to amend. Persons moved a main motion. During the discussion, some better ideas have come up. You want to make a motion to amend the main motion. That motion to amend then takes priority over the main motion. You have a second. You have a discussion on the proposed amendments, which must either strike or delete words from the main motion. And then you have a roll call on that. And then you have a subsequent roll call to approve the motion as now amended. And the last subsidiary motion is a motion to postpone indefinitely. And that is a motion to kill the main motion. That is also debatable and requires a majority vote. What happens a lot of times is committees will make the motion to table when they really are doing that to kill the motion. And that's not fair. Why? Because the motion to table is not a debatable motion, whereas the motion to postpone indefinitely is. So those are the subsidiary motions that can be made. And just to give an example, there's a motion on the table, somebody makes a motion to amend. The motion to amend is the motion that then takes priority. If someone then wants to make a motion to table that motion, that is the motion that becomes the priority. So you just work within the priorities. If you were in the middle of a motion to amend and somebody made a motion to postpone indefinitely, that motion would be out of order because it is lower in priority than a motion to amend. These are Robert's Rules of Order. Then there are incidental motions, and these motions take priority even over the subsidiary motions. They can be made at any time. And the example is if somebody wants to call for a point of order on procedure. You can just call, I'd like a point of order. And it has to be on procedure, it's not a discussion of the substance of any pending motion. Or if you want to suspend Robert's Rules of Order, you can make that motion, but that also requires a 2/3 vote. And then finally, and you'll be happy to hear that the highest of all motions are the privilege motions. And that is the motion to adjourn. It is also the motion to recess, provided that the motion to recess is done at a time that there is a pending motion. Then it's a privilege motion, which means that it's not debatable. However, if there is no motion pending at all, and somebody calls for a motion to recess, that motion is debatable, and it is handled as a main motion. So, these are the rules of, Robert's Rules of Order. It's come out with a new edition, the 11th edition, in September of last year. I would say that most towns do adopt the rules, Robert's Rules of Order as the rules of procedure. And with that in mind, if the Township Committee would like to consider a resolution, I had prepared one whereby you would be adopting Robert's Rules of Order newly revised 11th edition, except of course when the same is in conflict with any state law. Just to give you an example of that, Robert's Rules of Order has a section on executive session. The Open Public Meetings Act would control over that in terms of, your voting would have to be in the public session. So that's why I put that in there, that you'd be adopting except when the same is in conflict with state law or local ordinance. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I do have one. I think all these look really good. The number 3, motion to limit debate, right?
Yes.
The concern that I have, I think all of these are great. This one I'm most concerned about because obviously I think for the whole month, the meeting since the beginning of the year, there's been some controversial issues, and that's what's caused a lot of the debate, because we didn't have discussions. There wasn't prior knowledge of all 5 committees prior to coming to the meeting, right? So this was the place where we had to have the discussion, and there were some controversial issues. To me, this number 3, motion to limit to debate, if we haven't discussed it prior to the vote and so forth, and we limit the debate, I feel like I'm not sure that we would be able to.
Well, the motion to limit debate is a subsidiary motion. So in other words, when you have a main motion that is on the table, and the motion to limit debate can be made at that point, and it's not debatable, but it requires a supermajority vote.
Well, but we would have the majority vote. So I guess my concern is, with 5 of us on the committee.
Yes.
If you look back on the meetings that we've had since the beginning of the year, right, we have majority vote. That's my biggest concern, motion to limit debate.
I guess what I'm saying is, in order to limit debate, though,
So 4 out of 5.
you would need 4 out of 5 votes to limit
okay.
debate, is what I'm
I
trying to
was
say. You need a
thinking
2/3
I'm
vote.
Okay.
Robert's Rules tries to protect the minority interests by requiring supermajorities in that sense, and recognizes that because that subsidiary motion is not a debatable motion, the number of votes to sustain it is higher.
Then that's fine. If it's 4 out of 5, that's fine. No problem.
The problem that I see with the comment that was just made is that there's an assumption that the book that you get is not enough information as information to be prepared for the meeting.
Well,
And that is the information that you come to this meeting to be prepared for the meeting.
Elaine, I completely agree.
I'm talking to
Okay.
Brent right now.
okay.
So the insinuation is that there's other discussions other than what's going on in the book. And that is inappropriate because that's not happening.
I think it was probably just a plain vanilla
Okay.
question on procedure.
I hope
It
so.
is a plain vanilla question on procedure because, yes. Because, there's been things that have been brought to the table for decisions, for example, last meeting, that we didn't have prior knowledge of. We didn't have the sheet of financial analysis, yet it was brought up for a vote. So yes, I am concerned. And you should be concerned.
Oh, I'm concerned.
Any other comments?
No, I mean, if there are no other questions, I would just ask that maybe you, if you're so inclined, to move on the resolution 2012-37.
I will make the motion.
And I'll second.
Now we need discussion.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Laurie,
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes.
Can everyone take their microphone and push it down forward? It's up too high, and it's getting feedback.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. See if-
Okay,
see if that works.
On Monday night,
No.
we had a planning board meeting. And I see the chairman is here, so thank you for coming. Several items that I'd like to address, and I want to make sure that I have my notes in front of me so I don't get it wrong. On January 1st, as part of our reorganization, we reactivated the Highlands Task Force because there was an anticipation that the Highlands Council was going to undertake some action this year that would require a response. Well, guess what? January 31st, we received this that now needs to be reviewed by the task force. They want a response by March 15th. We got this so late, I think that's inherently unfair to provide a comprehensive response, or any response that is worthy providing, I think needs more time than the deadline that they provided. So what the request was, well, it was twofold. If the task force was not reconstituted to do so, that action was undertaken as part of reorg on January 1st. And the second was to authorize me as mayor to send a response to them to basically say, we're happy to provide a response, but we're going to need an extension. And to the extent that someone would make a motion to authorize that, we can have a letter sent out to them tomorrow.
I'll make that motion.
Any comment? Roll call.
And let's clarify, this is on behalf of the Highlands Conformance
Yes.
recommendation report that we received, because it's too short of a period of time to respond to such a document that we sent out in 2009, and they're just expecting us to reply to this in 45 days, and it's ridiculous for them to
It took
even
them
think.
26 months to get us that.
It took us
And
26
they want a
months
response in
as a member
45
of the
days.
task
They don't want
force to
it in a
get
half
this
months.
done, and they're expecting us to do it in 45 days,
Okay.
yeah,
It's inherently unfair.
yeah,
That's a nice way to put it.
yeah.
I'm trying to be diplomatic because
Well said.
I know you are,
it's just, it's.
but I sat on that committee, and I don't feel like being diplomatic.
So it's been, the motion's been seconded.
This was
We've gone through
discussion.
comments, so roll
Yeah.
call, please.
Okay, Perez,
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Laurie,
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. Additionally, there's been a lot of coverage in the Express Times, and we all know about the asphalt company on Stryker Road in Lopat. And there are a lot of residents who rightfully are concerned, and they want to know what the impact might be to Greenwich Township. And I know there's been a lot of phone calls to Chairman Bolger of the Planning Board saying, hey, what are you guys doing in Greenwich? And of course, we already have a master plan and zoning in place that protects Greenwich from such a development, because we are fortunately forward-thinking with respect to land use and planning. But there is, I think, a legitimate concern that was identified at the planning board meeting. They asked that I bring it back and share it with everyone, that they're concerned that to the extent that there are approvals on Stryker Road, that these heavy trucks will make the right-hand turn off of Route 22 right at Dumont and cut through all the way around to get to Stryker Road. So the request is that we prepare an ordinance that will, hold on a second, that we prepare, that we adopt an ordinance to provide the same weight limits on Dumont Road that presently exist on Route 173, Route 637, and Route 638, from Route 22 and Dumont Road all the way through down to Route 519. To eliminate that, that potential, to the extent that they get approvals. So if someone could
I'll make that motion.
A second.
This is a motion to do what?
To prepare an ordinance.
Okay. Okay.
Prepare, we can talk about it afterwards. Yes,
Very good.
yes.
Well,
So,
if I may interject, I will need to work with Brent on said ordinance,
okay.
because there is,
There's a snaky kind of road there.
well, yes, that's the facts, because we all well know. But there are, when you adopt an ordinance with a weight restriction, you have to have some
Teeth behind.
basis, and you also have to have the ability to show detours, which will be very simple, but there needs to be some engineering input to make this a legitimate ordinance,
Okay.
because it needs to be approved by the DOT.
Well, I will say this,
And we
we
figured
want it
you were at the planning
legitimate,
board.
we want it sustainable, we want it to be, enforced, so let's do what we need to do up front to make sure that some attorney down the road can't find a loophole, so. So, okay, good. So, we had,
There's one
Yeah, I
more
think we
item
had
on
the-
there.
that was,
There's one more item on there.
I know, but we didn't vote
We
on
didn't vote on
that.
it.
No, you have not
I
voted.
have a question. Is this, if
We
this is
have
a
the
planning
land
board
in
thing,
hand.
is really Drill supposed to be working on this ordinance now? Okay.
No, this would not be a drill.
Okay.
This would be a carny.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, in fact,
I just wanted to throw
it's
that
not
out
even
there.
close.
Okay.
It's clearly
Okay,
Brent's
okay. It's
ordinance.
clearly a carny?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's clearly a carny.
Roll
All right,
call.
got it.
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Valari.
Yes.
Coriello.
Yes. And since we mentioned Mr. Drill, that leads me to the final item, it's a perfect segue. Again, there was a discussion at the planning board, and I think it is wise to undertake this action. LOPAT has a February 22nd planning board meeting scheduled with this particular issue on the agenda, and they would like the Township Committee to authorize Mr. Drill to appear at that meeting and to interpose the township's objection to the location of this on Stryker Road.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez.
Yes.
Siegel.
Yes.
Miliani.
Yes.
Valari.
Yes.
Coriello.
Yes. And that concludes my items, so with that, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor.
Okay, we authorized the letter. Okay, I'm just going to update on the Environmental Commission. Last month, I wanted to commend the Environmental Commission. They did 123 tree chippings, and the residents were extremely pleased at having the chipper and the gentleman working hard to collect the 123 trees. It was a good opportunity for the residents to bring their trees. It was the second year, I believe, that happened, or third year in a row. And more residents came out this year than before. The other thing that is going on is the Environmental Commission is sponsoring the Grand Balloons for the 7th grade at the school. And I believe the event is March 2nd. And they're excited about that, and they want to continue working with the children of the school to make sure that the Environmental Commission has a hand in helping them understand more about the environment as they continue their growth in our school district. And I think that that's a win-win. And the assistant principal in Stewartsville Middle School is working with our environmental group as they move forward. They're considering some Earth Day and Arbor Day activities. There's a meeting coming up next Tuesday. We do have an opportunity to be looking at a grant. Mike, did you send me that correspondence about the grant for the Environmental Commission?
No, not the environmental.
Somebody did. I have to go back and make sure I have it on my talking points for them for Tuesday night. I've been just a little bit happy about the high school getting approved and some other things, and a little bit sad about some other things that are going on. I think that's it on the environmental commission, and then I have a resolution 2012 for the sewer, -34.
Can I change that to 36?
It's 36?
Yeah, because I have 34 already listed on the agenda under municipal
Okay.
tax.
This is a settlement offer that we have received from Quaker City Motor Parts, AKA Napa. It's the mini mall in the amount of $45,261.83 as a payment in full for sewer user fees from August 1st of 2005 through September 30th, 2011. And what has happened here is that the sewer subcommittee has discussed this at length, and it is our hope, based on what our auditor and what our CFO says, we would like to put this money towards the reduction of our sewer expenses that we have taken from the sewer. This is a settlement offer, an agreement, and based on what their discussions will be with us moving forward, we would like to reduce this with this $45,000 from the $300,000. So I need a resolution to accept the $45,261.83 as a payment and a settlement with Napa.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any comment?
What was the original amount?
50, what was it?
The original amount was based on 60% of flow, which was $54,314. They're agreeing to $45,261.83. This resolution, by the way, also provides that they'll be continued to be invoiced on estimates until the township gains access to the water meter.
They have a water meter and that has to be read.
Correct.
Okay, that's in the language of
That's paragraph 2 of the resolution.
Right.
Have you got a response from their attorney by?
Jim was in depositions all day today. I spoke to his secretary. We can talk after this meeting.
And the meter,
So
the
there was
meter-
communication,
Yeah.
okay.
This has been as of October 1st, right? This is like as of October. We haven't had that meter, but this agreement is only as of October.
Correct, but the meter obviously has never been read.
Right,
because we
exactly.
haven't been able to
Yes.
get
So
access.
this settlement
Right.
agreement is only about
Yeah.
October
Just about the
2011.
old flows,
Right.
yeah.
Any other comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Miliani?
Yes?
Solari?
Yes.
Toriello?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2012, I'll say 37.
No, 35.
Oh.
We just did
Two.
we just did 37.
I thought you just said 36. Okay,
did
all
30.
right.
Parliamentary procedures was
Okay, all right,
37.
all right. So I can never be one up there. 2012-35 resolution authorizing the execution of the sewer agreement by and between the Township of Greenwich and Rath's Deli. Yay, Mike. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call.
Perez?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Miliani?
Absolutely.
Solari?
Yes.
Toriello?
Yes. Tom?
Turn it over to you. Thanks. There's just one item, and then I'm a liaison to rec that was inadvertently left off. I'd like to start with that before I dive into the list of you, Joe, if you don't mind. There's a couple of items that I've been working with the rec department aggressively over the last month to try to make things a little more streamlined, a little easier across the board, whether it's regards to handling finances or dealing with referees and reimbursement to coaches and whatnot. So I'd like to start off with the referee stuff. You want to step up, Justin? Sure. This is Justin Kukura, who's handles finance for rec.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, good. As Tom mentioned, Justin Kokora, the treasurer for the Recreation Department. So, in light of all the theme of finance tonight, at first I was nervous to talk about payments for referees, but it is in the spirit of being more efficient, both for the township as well as recreation. Referees, umpires for sports like basketball, baseball, soccer are basically the biggest expense. The current practice, we feel needs to be modified to be more efficient, both for the CFO as well as coaches. The current process is, for example, if we have 19 baseball coaches, I have to request 19 checks be made out to those coaches in their name, which is then cashed, and then that money is dispersed throughout the season to the referees. What we'd like to propose is that one payment can be made out to recreation, which can then be dispersed to the coordinator, and then the coordinator will provide that to the coaches, obtaining signatures to ensure that we can track that the funds were properly received and used. This will cut down on the lead time, it will cut down on the work from the CFO, and will make things more efficient for recreation.
It also gets rid of the 1099 that coaches were getting for reimbursement of their own money
Right.
for the last, I've been a coach for 12 years, and that's one piece that's just not really appealing as a coach.
I thought there was a requirement.
Lorraine, you wanna?
It is, it's a
Over
requirement to
$600.
any vendor that you pay $600 or more to issue a 1099. In this case, while it's a legal requirement, it's not really accurate because you're not paying coaches, you're reimbursing them for fees that they paid.
It's like an expense.
Yeah, they're then having to report that on their federal income tax and claim it as income when it really wasn't income, it was just a pass-through,
Well, I
so.
thought they were actually getting paid.
No, in this
Okay.
instance.
We're shelling out our own money to pay the refs every game, and then I'm
Oh, I'm
waiting
thinking
for
of the refs. I'm
reimbursement.
thinking
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
refs,
I
though.
pay the ref, and then I wait for my
With
money,
the
and then I
leagues that we-
1099 on it.
I'm thinking
With the
of
leagues
that.
that we use, we don't pay one lump sum to, for example, the CDL for basketball. You actually, during the basketball game, the coach hands the referee the money at the end of the game.
We weren't giving 1099s to the coaches either, in the past.
Well,
For that reason alone, because they weren't getting that money as an income
I
for
don't think
themselves.
1099s were issued. It
Just
should have been.
a quick question, because I heard several things from different people. I just want to, the way that it currently worked was a coach would lay the money out. They would advance the cost, right? They would make a payment.
In certain occasions, that would happen, but what we've tried to do to avoid that, because we think that's asking a lot of someone who's
It is,
also
especially
volunteered a lot of
yes,
time.
right.
Which is the reason why our registrations are very early, which is why they're so long, because we need to identify how many teams do we have, how many games. So the procedure now is that we would try to request the funds early enough so then we can get the individual checks, distribute them to the coaches. The coach then needs to cash the check and then take that money so they're not using their money. However, I've been told there are situations where if we can't get that in time, and recognizing with the priorities currently going on, this is one of the reasons that we're asking for this, to really avoid, again, the three most popular sports for rec follow this procedure.
Okay, so now the proposal is the money goes to one place, goes to you,
Bring a line item on the budget, right?
goes to, and then you're making the disbursements to the coaches?
Well, we would like,
I mean, to the refs?
what would happen is there would be a payment made, whether it's cash or whether it's a check,
Right.
to the recreation, out of the recreation account. And then I, as treasurer, would give that to the sport coordinator,
Who would then make the
who would then make the payments to,
Okay.
who would then provide the funds to those coaches,
Right.
who would then provide it to the,
You've answered the next question, because what I wanted to know is, in other words, if we were making the payment to a rep, my question was going to be, who's tracking, if they get to that $600 limit, that might trigger a 1099, but we're going to a middleman, that's never our headache. We're just giving the money to someone else who is then, that's their problem, that's their obligation.
but we
Okay.
would have a list of the sporting events so that you would have something to hand back to us, this is where the money.
yeah, everything.
This is where the, yeah.
Right, and part of what I
That's all we
talked to Lorraine as well as Tom about is, I feel confident we can put in measures to track where every penny goes.
And then provide that back to the.
Yes, and then that would be returned
Okay.
back to the CFO.
That's all
And you're
we need
okay
to
with
hear.
it?
Yeah, that would
Okay.
all be listed on the requisition, that would be part of the authorization process for the.
Okay,
That's all we need to hear.
makes sense.
Are you gonna take into account playoffs also? Because you're gonna need money for that too.
Right, and I'm glad you brought that up, thank you. Because part of it too is, we know at the beginning of the season how many games there will, so that's easy to estimate, not even estimate, but to provide, here's the amount of money exactly that we need. When playoffs come, once it's determined how many teams make the playoffs, an additional request would be made for that, which could then obviously, again, follow the same procedure. Because the key right now with recreation is most of the money comes from registration, which is directly now deposited via the online system that we've employed now for several months. The challenge with rec is, as treasurer and the rec board does not have the authority to make any type of payment, whether it's to reimburse a board member for a book of stamps or anything. Which again, all of it is handled through vouchers with Lorraine, who's been very patient with me, so thank you, by the way. But that's something we would like to potentially address at a future time.
Justin, did you also take, I don't know if you guys are gonna do it this year, but are you also gonna run the wrestling tournament?
Linda's not here, I can't say for sure, but I believe we are not.
Okay, because that's gonna be something else you're gonna need money for.
Dan, with the changes that have taken place with the wrestling, I don't believe we will.
Yeah, I don't believe we're
Yeah,
pursuing
like
Okay.
we do it, because now you have the Phillipsburg area wrestling team, and we only have a novice program now.
Yeah, but the wrestling tournament that that rec used to run, wasn't really run through the league, it was an outside thing, just to fundraise for recreation.
Right.
So I wasn't sure if you were gonna do that again, just to look to raise money.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing it again, because we don't have those wrestlers really anymore.
Well, you may wanna consider to put something in place in the event that you do run any type of tournaments, because you're gonna need money to, to start the tournaments off and things like that, so you may wanna go back and look at that.
We've had discussions
Yeah.
I've had discussions with Tom and Lorraine about that, but I recognize that there's only so much.
Right.
We're
I
gonna
can
take some
cover
baby
today.
steps here, since it hasn't,
Yeah.
some of these things we haven't, hasn't changed for 15 years that I've been in town. I just figured we just nip at them one by one as I get my feet wet with rec as well, but.
So I'll be back.
He makes a valid point, though.
Maybe you'll love what we've done and you won't need to come back.
Yeah.
How's that?
No, he makes a valid point. If we do decide to jump into that next realm of doing large tournaments in town, we should definitely be looking at that to add to that funding.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
By chance, is there a possibility that there's somebody you can discuss the swimming issue with?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then there's, you want to go into the other two line items that you wanted to just broach?
If we have time, I can put them on the table.
Let's table them. We don't have to vote on them, but we could say, I think the reason why I wanted to bring up these ideas is because I can't have a discussion with you, all together. So I just figured air it out, so let's all listen to it. I think they're.
I'll try to
valid.
be brief for the sake of time. The one I've already alluded to is that as recreation, we do not have the ability to reimburse a coach for a party or basically pay for anything unless we do it out of our own pocket, which then require, and it could be $1, and we have to provide a voucher, has to be processed through the CFO. What we'd like to propose for consideration, if recreation could, for example, either have some type of account, rec has a checking account, we have the ability to make deposits, but we don't have the ability to see what the balance is or make withdrawals or make payments from that. So we'd either like to consider something such as a cash box with petty cash, if you will, and something in the range of $1,000, which can be used for appropriate payments for recreation by either the president or the treasurer. And obviously all receipts would be maintained and turned into the CFO as they currently are.
Do we currently have a petty cash fund? I thought there was like a $200.
We have two
fund.
cash boxes, each with $100, but unfortunately,
And that's just for concessions.
we use that
things
for
like
concessions for sports and the dances, so
Not for reimbursement.
we just hold on to those cash boxes because if we use those funds, we wouldn't have time to reimburse it and that would impact the events we use it for. So basically, we're not currently, all payments are made via the township. So we're looking to add some flexibility in terms of allowing rec to make all traceable payments and also ease the work of the CFO in having to reimburse vouchers for what, I mean, no amount is trivial, but there probably are other priorities. The second piece would be the current practice is all bills that exceed $1,000 come to this committee for approval. Typically what comes at that level are things like uniforms, large equipment purchases. We'd like to consider potentially raising that to potentially $2,000 because we feel like, I don't know if this committee wants to be involved in decisions if we're getting the best deal on a softball uniform or not. All
I
the,
think there's some kind of misunderstanding about that. It's not that it's approval here, it just goes into the system and just gets approved at the level of putting it into the vendor list. And anything under $1,000, you guys make your decisions and vote on them.
correct.
Anything over $1,000, it gets the vendor, approval, and the administrator and the CFO actually sign off on it.
Okay.
And it goes on our bill list. We don't sit here and look at your appraisals and say, oh yes, we think that this is right. No, we just kind of like look at our bill list like we did tonight and kind of say,
Okay.
forget the Dorf bills. We did that. That's an extreme
Right.
circumstance. But we don't look at it that way,
Okay.
the way you think.
So,
It's written incorrectly in that list, and we had this confusion early in 2011, and it wasn't really clarified correctly. It's
Okay.
not that we approve or disapprove of what you're purchasing, it just makes it to the bill list and we
Okay.
sign off on it, that's
so
all.
a payment would not be delivered to a specific vendor until it comes to this committee and you guys go through what you did today with those.
With the bill list,
particulars.
yes, and we sign off, and that's sort of a requirement by
Yeah, actually, all payments, even if they're under $1,000, I think we will need a motion.
$25.63, yes.
Yeah, it's gotta be in a resolution form, so I'll make sure that you guys have that to pass that to allow me to cut bills, process payments outside of a meeting.
Yeah.
But even though I can cut a
You
check
do
for
that outside of a
500.
meeting now, up to $1,000.
Right.
And then
But
at
she's saying you don't
$1,000.
have that resolution, correct?
No, I
It
think
was
you
a
guys made a
motion.
motion.
It was a
needs-
motion, it was never a resolution.
Yeah, it needs to be a resolution, so
Exactly, and
I'll
we
get
have
you
to
all-
create the resolution, and it has to be renewed
I'll get you
annually.
a draft, right. But my point is that even if I cut a check outside of a meeting for rec for $563, that's still gonna show up on
Up
your
on the
next
bill
bill.
list,
I just have to
exactly.
write it on manually. Every single penny that I expend has to be approved on that bill list.
But see, she's authorized up to $1,000 to do that without coming to us
Right.
once a month.
Holding it up.
And that $1,000 thing is really about, she's not
Right.
authorized to approve that without coming to the township committee.
But is the issue more around with Lorraine, being here 2 days a week? Does that create an issue for the rec?
I can't say it's
We
necessarily.
don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I guess a lot of the bills that we get that are of these large amounts have a net 30-day payment. And so if I receive something tomorrow,
Do you receive a discount based on that 30 days? Or do you get any kind of late fee based on not paying it in 30 days? Or can you ask about
yeah, in
extending
some
that?
instances,
45.
I've, in the short time I've been treasurer, I have seen that we've gotten bills that we've been applied a late fee because a payment hasn't been made within the net terms.
Well, we know why now, but
Right.
we'll attempt to fix that.
Who, can I ask a question, who would give you a late fee?
I mean, I can get that in, I don't know off the top of my head, but,
In 2012.
Yeah,
In
'cause
2012.
We haven't
there's
had
a
any
whole
this
new
year.
practice. There's a whole new practice in 2012, right?
Because I know, vendors we used to use, I don't know if you still use the same vendors, they never gave us a late fee. So if somebody's giving you a late fee, I go back to them.
I think it's the
Say,
major
take
corporations that we're
off
dealing
or-
with. It's not the O2 Sports or
Right.
Destination Sports, it's like Sam's Club, all these major corporations that
Oh, okay.
it's in their financial text to automatically impose it no matter who you are.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Yes.
it's not the guys that are really.
That's
calling us out,
accurate.
right?
Exactly.
Is that right?
yes, that's accurate.
So you can't pull that off, but we can talk about that, I'm
Sure.
sure, as finance group, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm answering a lot of the questions, but as
No, that's good.
part of
Just
the
fine.
finance group, I know what the problems are.
Great.
I'm sorry.
What I'll do is I'll meet with you, Justin and Lorraine, and we come out to what you're comfortable with on the cash box stuff. We can do that at a later date, and then we can bring it forth. Does that sound like a plan?
Mhm.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hey, thanks a
Justin.
lot, Justin. Thanks a lot for
Thank
coming
you.
and
Thank you
staying.
for your hard work.
Guys.
The scoreboard, we haven't been able to put it up because of weather, and I talked to Lorraine about finding out, we're in the last phase of it. So we're gonna get the scoreboard up there, and I need to talk with Joe and see if we can get him to come up with the bucket truck, but we have to hire a lift truck to lift up the scoreboard, because it's just too heavy for a couple of guys to go out there and try and lift it up there, 10 feet up in the air. Yeah, I know, in the old days we could have. So anyway, so that's where we're at, so hopefully, within the next 3 weeks, we'll have the scoreboard up, okay? That's it.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, next item is the fire department. So some items on the agenda is, the first one is to discuss the status of the property lease for the fire department. Where we're at with the, Joe, do you want to shed some light on where you were the last time we discussed and where we're standing?
Have you reviewed that property lease?
No, not at all.
Well, that's why I want to table it now, so that we can all get on the same page and get Joe where he needs to be.
Joe Maxey, Fire Chief, Stewartsville Volunteer Fire Company. Discussion on the lease was in the last township attorney's hands. I don't know where it went from there.
Brent's gonna have to look for it because he picked up all the records.
I have all of Peter's files.
All right, because I've been working on this since about April or May of 2010.
We actually came up with the area. So
You
we have
approved that.
maps that, again, so, call,
I will.
because I'm sure you probably don't, the firehouse lease area is, okay, call.
Okay, so we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna go with that approval. Then you brought up the Opticom system, Greenwich
Yes.
Street and entrance to Lowe's.
Yeah, in December, since the new Walmart made changes to Route 22 and the traffic lights there, they had to replace all that equipment brand new. So we went out to test it, and we found during the test, theirs worked fine, but the one at the entrance to Lowe's, who, when they built there, I pursued them to put that system in so emergency apparatus wouldn't have to travel through a red light. It changes the light to green within a certain amount of time. It's firefighter safety and the equipment stuff. Well, I checked the box in our modular, there's no power to it, so I don't know, somewhere along the line, since Greenwich Commons put their left-hand turn lane in, there's power loss to that, the system's not receiving. And since that traffic light is controlled by the county, I guess, I know Mike has open communication with the county engineers, maybe we can work with them to come up with something, at least have an electrician check it out for us. I know they have a meter and a circuit board in there, but I'm not messing with that. All I know is the power indicator's not on in that Opticom control box, which receives the signal.
We're actually in the midst of dealing with the county on a kind of regular basis on those buildings they're buying up in White Township, if you've read about it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we did that, so that's how kind of I'm talking to Hicks, not every day, but quite regularly. So why don't you and I speak, you can give me some more details, and then
Yeah.
I can talk to him within the next few days.
Yeah.
See what he says, okay.
Yep.
And then the other thing is,
The other
Joe's
thing,
bringing to our attention a possible legal liability for.
well,
is that
this
the-
come about from Monmouth County. I think there's a copy in your packet. There was a lawsuit that ended up, and I didn't bring my copy with me, but the fire department and JCP&L got sued and lost their case. The short of it, power wire was down through people's property. The fire department got a second call. They left the scene. People backed out, landed on the unfortunate 4,800 volt or 7,200 volt wire. Fella got out of the car and got maimed, lost his legs, his arm, so forth, so on. Anyway, the lawsuit, I said, I don't know if it's in your packet. I think it made it 80-20 of a $20 million settlement. And what just come up from the Fire Chief Association stuff is to ask the township attorneys to review and give comment on this and a direction. Now, I thought maybe since over the last storms through 2011 there, we sat out there and babysit wires for hours and hours and hours at a time, is to come up with an ordinance to charge the power companies. Just like our hazardous material ordinance that we have that we charge, it gets that way. Maybe we can get at least somebody out there to de-energize these things. You might, unfortunately, might shut down a block, might shut down 6 homes, but it makes it safe. Because in them situations, I only have so much manpower, and that when there's storms like that, it's just not significant in Greenwich Township. So I can't call our mutual aid to cover calls either, because they're tied up with the same scenarios. And if lawsuits like that are going to be levied on towns and fire departments and stuff, what we gotta do is say, we're not gonna go at all.
That's a good,
Good point.
You want to make a motion to authorize me to look into that?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Any comment? Roll call?
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes.
We'll just stay on top of it, man. And then you have,
Yeah, just the final thing was a 2010 emergency management pass-through grant. In 2000, we received a 2009 grant for $40,000, which fire department used to get computers, being 2 computers, a pre-planned program for 24 of our businesses to be installed in the fire trucks, along with locations of the town. And if we can punch address in, location comes up, we can track the fire trucks responding. So we use that $40,000. The computers are being installed, the program's just about done. Got approved for a second phase to buy 3 more computers. The grant was for $21,666. So we'll put the other 3 computers and 3 other apparatus.
Wonderful. So we need a.
There's paperwork,
Authorize the mayor to
yeah.
sign?
Yeah,
Okay.
sign off, and there was an ordinance drafted the end of last year, but we didn't know the exact amount. It was just vague for $20,000, so that may have to be adjusted.
is this the matching grant, Joe, that?
Yeah, it's
they gave us
50%, but it's our training time and stuff like that. There's no money from the town. It'll be volunteer hours, training, and I opened up regionally to train the other fire departments on it, and we can add their pre-plans
Nice
to it.
job.
Good job, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Hey, Joe, can you just hang there for me, because I got a
Sure.
few questions after this.
You wanna ask?
No, it pertains to what I have.
Oh, okay,
Make a
yeah.
motion first, Scott?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to authorize the mayor to sign the pass-through grant from 2011,
2010 pass-through grant.
2010 pass-through grant.
Second.
Comment? Roll call?
Perez,
Yes.
Siegel,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Toriello.
Yes. Dan?
Alright, as you know, we went out to get some quotes. Did we get any electrical quotes back yet?
One electrical quote is handed in to Kim from Metz Electric. Should be.
And I got the one for the roof.
Did you get the one
Yeah,
for
I
the
got one
roof?
from the roof.
And I had 2 other calls in to try to get 3, and as of Tuesday, I still have got no return call.
I think we only needed 2, right?
Yes, you need 2, at least 2.
Yeah, so if we get a second one, if everyone comes in.
All right, well, I'll keep
Especially
after
with the
them.
roofing.
Okay.
Are you gonna get in touch with another roofer?
I can get in touch with them.
Yeah.
There's plenty out.
Did we try digging?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Huh?
I saw that quote, just looking through.
Oh, the quote,
Yeah.
what is, the quote's above the bid threshold?
It's 30.
Wait,
Yeah, it's 32,000.
Yeah.
Well, then you'll have to,
yeah, we may have to go out to bid. Let's get another quote, see what it is though, but.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that could become a problem, based upon the amount.
Right. You know, maybe we may want to try digging, because I know he's looking for work.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. Try anybody. But
Mhm.
I didn't see the quote, so I don't know.
Right, and then we'll just wait for one more for your electrical.
Yep.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then my other item was the certification requirement for coordinator. I spoke with Phillipsburg about their coordinator over there that has the license that could oversee Kevin Devane. It's Michelle Google, who I'm waiting to hear back from. She had to speak to her township first to see if it's okay, first of all, and then they want to get back to us and then lay the groundwork out for us, and then I'd bring it back to everybody for approval. That's the way it works. If it doesn't work with them, I understand that Franklin Township also has someone with a certificate over there, so I'll speak with them next. It's been about 3 weeks now, and I just called her the other day, so if I don't hear from them soon, I'm going to give a call to Franklin and see what they have to say.
Who is the folks were?
Michelle Rugolo?
You may want to call Alpha and talk to the Alpha.
I don't think Alpha has one.
A recycling coordinator, then
It's
he's
not
almost
certi-
done. He's almost finished with his class.
Yes?
They do.
Absolutely. And he's
Will
only
he be
taking
certified?
care of Alpha, and he would probably be,
Tom Phil.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
okay.
that wasn't on the state, Alpha wasn't listed on the state
yeah,
list
he's
that I
almost
had.
done.
Okay.
They sent him to class.
Will he have a certification by April 30th?
No?
Yes. I don't think he's going to, but
Okay.
Michelle
Yeah,
is.
because we have to be by April
Michelle
30th,
is?
right?
Michelle in Phillipsburg is the
Okay.
thing.
She's not the one that holds the license, she's the
Who does?
one, she's the administrator that I have
That
to
will-
speak to.
All right, did she get a price?
No, she has to go back to her boss and talk with her boss. And then at that point, I'll talk with all of them, and if someone wants to come with me, that's fine. And then we'll see where it goes from there,
Bring him.
okay?
Great.
Alright.
Is that everything?
Good.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Tammy?
Okay, my agenda item is a budget proposal actually that was presented or recommended by a resident. He said he was gonna try to be here this evening, but he had several meetings, so I don't see him in the room. Brad Perone, who, as you know, is on our school board. He had sent an email to the committee, to all the committee members, on February 2nd, and made a suggestion in how he thought maybe we could close some of the budget gap. And his suggestion was that there's 4 cents that had been approved by the voters quite some time ago regarding open space farmland preservation. And as we all know, Don Marie and the committee has done a phenomenal job in preserving a lot of, I don't know exactly how many acres of farmland and open space, but it's been a lot. His recommendation, actually, the question, and I don't know how we would be able to do this, but he was actually suggesting that